I call the member for Fraser.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. The work we do in this place impacts on people's lives, and often far more than we imagine at the time. This bill is one such example. I want to start off by sharing with the House the story of a friend of mine, Damien Hickman, and how he felt about 2 weeks' leave that he took when his first child arrived. Liesl Grace Hickman arrived on the 23rd of June last year. Damien said, "I just didn't want to be anywhere else. My whole world shrunk to this tiny 4-kilogram bundle in the 3 hourly cycles." He said it was like nothing I'd experienced or could have prepared for. I was placed under this spell. He said she was the ultimate time waster. He said, "I'd just stare at her and half an hour would go by like it was 30 seconds. To be there for my partner, to look after the house and be there as an extra pair of hands and support was pretty special." He said, "I wanted to be part of it all. I was Liesl's dad and wanted to be with and care for my little girl. Can still remember how scared I was," he said, "when I gave her my first bath. How she'd fall asleep on my chest. So small, her feet barely made it to my belly button." And he said for him, the joy of being a dad is being there for all of those firsts, and that being there with Liesl and Kate was a great privilege. Liesl probably won't remember any of this, but it's a memory that Damien will take to his grave. Deputy Speaker, that's why this legislation is so important, because it allows dads and partners to take time off work and be at home to support new mothers in those crucial early days. It builds bonds that will extend to a lifetime of love, encouragement and support for children. It's the kind of encouragement and support that all kids need as they venture into life and the challenges and opportunities that life presents. Opportunities that are the foundation of the ideas and innovation that inevitably drive a nation's prosperity. Before outlining the measures in this bill, let me share with you why dads being there in the early days is so important to their newborns, to parents. Research from children's experts has found the more dads are involved right from the start, the better it is for the dad, for the mum, and most importantly, for the little child. Hands-on dads are important in developing social skills, independence, a strong moral sense and intellectual skills. Parenting expert Pam Linke of the Children's, Youth and Women's Health Service in South Australia says, "When a man holds a baby, they get a sense of security that's quite different from a mother's. While a dad's role may be only a supporting one for things like breastfeeding, it's absolutely critical to a baby's development." Dr. Kyle Pruitt, a clinical professor of psychology at Yale University, says what dads actually do with their kids matters more than how often they do it. So it's important that every dad gets time in the lead role. Pam Linke's advice is let him change nappies, and I can attest to having changed plenty of nappies in my few years as a dad. In fact, studies show that sons who are nurtured by their fathers will be more likely to be more hands-on with their own children. Fathers who interact with their daughters reduce the rate of those girls' emotional problems when they reach their teenage years. Even when they're young, dads help daughters feel competent, an essential precursor for self-esteem. For us politicians, young children, this can come with additional risks. The story might be apocryphal, but the story goes that the member for North Sydney received a phone call at home from John Howard after one of the elections. And the former Prime Minister said, "What are you doing?" "Changing nappies," replied the member for North Sydney. John Howard apparently said, "I have something similar for you, industrial relations." And as the Work Choices episode shows, the similarity is more than passing. Deputy Speaker, in my own role as a politician and a father, I've found it to be a constant juggling act, but it's a delightful one at the same time. There's many challenges and changes with a newborn baby, and it's vital that dads can be there to support the partner and the child, to share the joys of the new baby, to give some respite, some time out for the partner to do little things, like take a bath, have a cup of tea and relax in front of the TV. to share the responsibility for what is, especially to first-time parents, a vulnerable and mysterious creature. Liesel's mum, Kate, told me it was so good to be home together as a family. To see her and Damien just be together, to see her respond to his voice or fast asleep on his chest was just magical. Deputy Speaker, after the 2010 election, Labor made a commitment to give dads the chance to have 2 weeks off to support new mums at home. The government's historic paid parental leave scheme has now benefited more than 150,000 new mums. Labor's parental leave scheme is funded by the government and it's paid through employers, so employers can stay in touch with their long-term employees while they're taking time off to care for a new baby. That was the approach.
The member for Fraser will resume his seat. I'm sorry, the Minister and the Shadow Minister can find another place to talk if they need to do it that loudly, please. Otherwise, please be quiet while we listen to the member for Fraser. The member for Fraser has the call.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. That was the approach recommended by the Productivity Commission after their extensive inquiry. It reflects the fact that paid parental leave is a workplace entitlement, not a welfare payment. It is critical that we maintain that link to employment, and that's maintained in Labor's paid parental leave scheme as the Productivity Commission recommended. Under this bill, eligible fathers and partners will receive 2 weeks dad and partner pay, the same rate per week as paid parental leave, currently $590 a week before tax. Dad and partner pay will begin on the 1st of January 2013. The eligibility criteria for dad and partner pay, including the income test, the work test, residency requirements, will be consistent with those for parental leave pay. Dad and partner pay can't be transferred to the primary carer. It has a use it or lose it provision to encourage fathers to take more time off work.
Order. The level of conversation in the chamber is just too much. Please, the member for Fraser deserves to be heard in silence. Member for Fraser.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. It also signals to employers that a father's role in caring for a new baby is important. The government expects that employers will retain their existing parental and paternity leave provisions and continue to set themselves apart as employers of choice for parents. We're working with employers to provide fathers the maximum opportunity to take time off work so they can be involved in their child's care from an early age. The dad and partner payment gives families more options to balance work and family commitments. It's good for dads, it's good for mums, and it gives newborns the best possible start in life. Deputy Speaker, for the last 2 years I've held a Welcoming the Babies event, an event originated by the Treasurer in the electorate of Lilley.
For Sturt.
Welcoming the Babies is a chance to recognise Canberra's new parents, for them to meet other parents, connect with community services, find out what's available. Last year's Welcoming the Babies event, we had terrific weather and around 150 parents and children turned up. They grabbed a coffee or a sausage sandwich, enjoyed the sunshine and chatted to stallholders about playgroups, breastfeeding, maternal health, immunisation, toddler sports and other supports. First-time dad, Tito Hassan, told me, "It's been great to see kids having fun. My wife and I see the range of things out there for first-time parents, and I'm looking forward to coming back next year." This year we had horrendous rain and the Commonwealth Park was closed on the weekend of Welcoming the Babies. So in lieu of the outside event, around 30 parents and children enjoyed a morning tea in my electorate office, swapped stories and met with service providers. They all took home a baby pack and a formal certificate. Deputy Speaker, as the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child, and now dads can stay in the village for another 2 weeks, enjoy this special time without having to worry about the family finances. Deputy Speaker, in conclusion, I just want to share a story from my own experience of being a new dad. And I remember that first hour of my eldest son's life. It was an extraordinary period because my eldest son was born by caesarean section. For those who haven't seen a caesarean section performed, what's most amazing is how quick it is. From the first incision to when the baby comes out is only about 7 minutes. But then the remainder of the operation takes about an hour. So as a dad, you then have an hour on your own with a newborn. I remember being struck by how relaxed and peaceful my son was. And I just talked away to Sebastian. I babbled away, and I started to think about the advice that a father should give a son. I'd never given father-son advice before, and so after about 10 minutes of babbling, I finally settled on the one thing I wanted most of all. I wanted him to be curious. 5 years later, the conversation sometimes floats back to me, and he asks questions like, "Dad, why is the sky blue?" And I wonder whether I should have encouraged him to be quite so curious when he's in his cupboard opening mode. But it is an extraordinarily precious time, those first few weeks, and encouraging fathers to spend more time bonding with their sons is a critical thing to do. It's a great privilege to be a dad. It's really important that we, as policymakers, encourage that bonding. It's good for early childhood, and it ensures that dads enjoy that precious time with newborns, because a newborn child is too important, too precious and too loved to miss out on those early weeks with their father. I commend the bill to the House.
Hear, hear.